Good morning to our tubers, and good morning to those of you who are joining us on every other social media platform, whether it's Twitter, it's Facebook, folks, it's LinkedIn. A very good morning to each and every one of you, and welcome to our broadcast. Wherever you're joining us from this morning, we are simply delighted that you're here with us. We're discussing that Ali Maduro meeting yesterday in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We're discussing also the Declaration of Argyle. The Declaration of Argyle, folks. What did you make of yesterday's events? Good to have each and every one of you on the live. We're taking the opportunity to share the broadcast to other places and pages. Good to have each and every one of you with us. Guys, the night is far spent. It's the day after, the night before. Good to have each and every one of you with us. Sean of Fortune is here. Rena Cummins is here as well, and Rena says, good morning, all, and especially the credible viewers. It's not the any and the all sorts. I love that, Rena. Love that, Rena. It's not the any and the all sorts. Great to have each and every one of you here. We're going to be interrogating that Declaration of Argyle. A lot of folks have got a lot of challenges with some aspects of it, and that's one of the things we're covering this morning, folks. Wherever you're joining us from, Rambasantram, good to see you there, Rohan and Donna Joseph, Yolanda Thomas, good to see you as well. Good to have all of you wonderful folks with us on the live. Lynette Zephyr and Kyle Bino. Kyle, good morning. Lynette, good morning. Siobhan, good morning. It's just me and this cup of strong black coffee, because sometimes that's what the issue needs. But good to have all of you folks on the live with us this morning. Yolanda Thomas, Siobhan McDonald. Great to have you, Siobhan, and the other folks who are joining us, coming in from all the other various places. How are things at your end? Debbie Collins, good to see you, Debs, and Mika Light is here with us as well. Jitendra, good to have you on the live, Jitendra. Good morning. Yvette Juna, good to have you too. Linda McCalmont and Debbie Collins, of course, and all the other folks like Donna Joseph and company joining us. Ingrid Austin is here as well. Good to have you folks with us. Wherever you're coming in from, ensure, take the opportunity and share the broadcast back to your pages. Folks, if you alone would share this broadcast to your profile, then others can get valid and credible information as well. Rihanna Mingo, that's what we want, right? Rihanna says, take it light with the coffee. Will do. Guided, as instructed. Will do. And good to see Wayne is here as well. Debbie says, good morning, Kyle, and no good morning to me, apparently. Yolanda Thomas says, loud and clear. Thank you, Yolanda, and all the other folks making sure we heard. Edward Broom says here, and Leon Harding is here as well. Good to have you. Marilyn George, Eric Williams, good to have you too, folks. Wherever you're joining us from, we are happy. Now we got you all here. Petal Thorne, Edward and Ainsworth Mason. Good to have you. Sharon McPherson, good to have you in the live as well, Sharon. And the other folks who are joining us. We just might have a guest coming by, folks. We just might. You just never know. It's where they come from. Just like that. The kitchen is filled. Guys, we're super duper happy that you folks are here with us. Welcome to our broadcast. Ainsworth and Sharon, Felon Anthony, Tessa Isaacs, Gribbs Andy, Alistair Pratt. Good to have you here too. Onessa Wardine. Good to have you, Onessa. Folks, good folks, gentle folks, I prevail upon you to partner with us so that we can continue to do more programs like this, more shows like this, where we try in our own little way to bring you folks valid and credible information. If each of you watching us now would donate $5 alone, we can pay off our bills for the last 3 months. We got some bills following us. We knew that a little bit. That's why we prevail on you. Right? We prevail upon you to help us to keep moving forward. This is how we do it, day after day. Folks, we are 3 years in. You know how many days are 3 years? Candy, Lena, and Jajit, you bright. You was always in the front of the class, and I was bringing fuss. Candy, you bright. How many days are 3 years and counting? 3 years and counting, because we're 3 years, a month and a half in. How many days are that? And we've been out here bringing you folks valid and credible information. Candy shows scraps. I can see Candy asking Marky, is he right person talking? You know you're bright, Candy. How many days? 3 years. It's a lot of days. I'm going to hazard a guess. It's plenty days. We've been out here. We missed a couple. Bringing you folks valid, credible information. Valid, credible information. And we prevail upon you to help us to do that. We have a passion for bringing you guys valid and credible information, folks. There's be a passion to do that, to keep you guys informed, because an informed people, make better decisions. It almost goes without saying. Neil Harding says it's 1,095. Right? It's 1,095. It's a lot of days. 1,095 days. You don't come out here, folks, saying, but I can be out here 1,095 days, bring you valid and credible information. You just go with it. Every day we pick ourselves up, go after the truth wherever it leads. And then we come and say, hey, take your chest, like this coffee. Good morning, folks. Welcome to the broadcast. 1,095 is a long time. It's a lot. Y'all ain't tired for seeing my face, but you can't get me out in the race. Oh no. We should make that song. Make that song. Folks, good to have you in the live this morning. Evelina Whitaker. Folks, we crave your indulgence. We crave your indulgence. See, and prevail upon you to partner with us, share the live, smash that emoji. But we got a lot of folks on with us right now. But the emoji is looking thin. How are you feeling, folks? Give us a thumbs up if you can. You know how we do it. A thumbs up. If needs be, folks, give us what's the other one? Some hearts. But partner with us. We got a very, very secure link. You're going to see flashing by you, passing you. Secure link. We might got a guest dropping by in a moment or two. You just never know with us. You just never know with we. Might got a guest, Debbie Collins, cruising by. Debbie wants to know if I went by Beatrice yet. Hold on a man. Hold on a man. I had this jacket in the cleaners. I had the jacket at the cleaners. Only got it back recently, so. Beatrice, take one. Beatrice, take one. Take one, Beatrice. Folks, we want to turn our attention to some of what we saw coming out of this air finale, Nicolas Maduro meeting in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And that document that came out of this meeting, they call it the Argyle Declaration. That's one of the things we can take a look at this morning. Look at some of what was said. Rob Gonzalez delivering this Argyle Declaration after a very hectic day yesterday in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We'd love to have your thoughts. Come up, Passat. We see you there on the live, and Vanilla Garden. We'd love to have your thoughts, folks, on the Argyle Declaration. Here are some of what came out of St. Vincent and the Grenadines at the close of the day yesterday. Take a look, take a listen. We may have a guest dropping by when we come back.
I will read the joint declaration of Argyle for dialogue and peace between Guyana and Venezuela. The joint declaration of Argyle for dialogue and peace between Guyana and Venezuela reads as follows. On Thursday, December the 14th, 2023, In Argyle, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, His Excellency Irfan Ali, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, and His Excellency Nicolas Maduro, President of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, held discussions on matters consequential to the territory in dispute between their two countries. All parties attending the meeting at Argyle, St. Vincent and the Grenadines reiterated their commitment to Latin America and the Caribbean remaining a zone of peace. Guyana and Venezuela declared as follows. 1. Agreed that Guyana and Venezuela directly or indirectly will not threaten or use force against one another in any circumstances, including those consequential to any existing controversies between the two states. 2. Agreed that any controversies between the two states will be resolved in accordance with international law, including the Geneva Agreement dated February 17, 1966. 3. Committed to the pursuance of good neighborliness, peaceful coexistence, and the unity of Latin America and the Caribbean. 4. Noted Guyana's assertion that it is committed to the process and procedures of the International Court of Justice for the resolution of the border controversy. Noted Venezuela's assertion of its lack of consent and lack of recognition of the International Court of Justice and its jurisdiction in the border controversy. 5. Agreed to continue dialogue on any other pending matters of mutual importance to the two countries. 6. Agreed that both states will refrain, whether by words or deeds, from escalating any conflict or disagreement arising from any controversy between them. The two states will cooperate to avoid incidents on the ground conducive to tension between them. In the event of such an incident, the two states will immediately communicate with one another, the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, the Community of Latin American and the Caribbean, CELAC, and the President of Brazil to contain, reverse, and prevent its recurrence. 7. Agreed to establish immediately a joint commission of the foreign ministers and technical persons from the two states to address matters as mutually agreed. An update from this joint commission will be submitted to the presidents of Guyana and Venezuela within 3 months. 8. Both states agreed that Prime Minister Ralph E. Gonzalez, the pro tempore president of CELAC, Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, the incumbent CARICOM chairman, and President Luis Inácio Lula da Silva of Brazil will remain seized of the matter as interlocutors, and the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres as observers, with the ongoing concurrence of Presidents Irfan Ali and Nicolas Maduro. For the avoidance of doubt, Prime Minister Gonzalez's role will continue even after St. Vincent and the Grenadines ceases to be the pro tempore president of CELAC, within the framework of the CELAC Troika +1. And Prime Minister Skerrit's role will continue as a member of the CARICOM Bureau. 9. Both states agreed to meet again in Brazil within the next 3 months or at another agreed time to consider any matter with implications for the territory in dispute, including the above-mentioned update of the Joint Commission. 10. We express our appreciation to Prime Ministers Gonzalez and Skerrit, to President Lula and his personal envoy Celso Amorim, to all other CARICOM Prime Ministers present, to the officials of the CARICOM Secretariat, to the CELAC Troika, and to the head of the CELAC PTP Secretariat in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, His Excellency Dr. Douglas Slater, for their respective roles in making this meeting a success. 11. We express our appreciation to the government and people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines for their kind facilitation and hospitality at this meeting, dated this 14th day of December, 2023. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, that's the statement, that's the declaration, the joint declaration of Argyle for dialogue and peace between Guyana and Venezuela. And we thank you very much for your presence and your forbearance. I will.
Folks, there you have it, the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines delivering that declaration of Argyle. And Lots and lots to talk about, lots of parsing. What does this really mean? And the regional papers, it's dominating the regional news. This is the Guardian out of Trinidad and Tobago, a very good newspapers. It's all ours. And one of the sub headlines here is meeting on Venezuela brings little change. Meeting with Venezuela's Maduro brings little change. Folks, we are privileged to be joined this morning by Guyana's Shadow Foreign Affairs Minister and Shadow Foreign Affairs Minister and Minister of International Cooperation, the one and only Amanzo Walter Desir. Amanzo, welcome and good morning.
Good morning, Sheridan. Good morning to your listening and viewing audience.
Amanzo, I know very late last evening after this declaration was made public, you had some sentiments about certain aspects of it that didn't sit well with you at all. Let's start there.
Let's start with maybe what I'm pleased to see in the agreement. The undertaking for no military action, etc., is comforting to see. I know that Guyanese were very concerned, given the fact that we do not have a large military, that any such things going into any such arena could have dire consequences for us. The de-escalation, I'm happy to see that there's a pledge to maintain peace. I am not sure, however, given the fact that Guyana is not the aggressor in this, that we needed to commit to no military action. We have never been the aggressor in this controversy. Having said that, I agree with the Guardian caption that little has changed. When you go through the agreement, outside of those provisions that I spoke to just now, what you're seeing is a standing fast to the positions. The government of Guyana has stood fast to its position that the process is before the ICJ. The Venezuelans have stood fast to their position that they do not regard the jurisdiction of the ICJ. Now, this is where I think Guyana should have been able to come away with much, much more from the table. There was no attempt to, in any way, reflect the judgment even of the recent decision of the ICJ in the provisional measures. There should have been something there asserting not only our claim before the ICJ, but asserting our right and our right to non-interference with our development and control of the Essequibo. In similar language that we see the reliefs in the provisional measures being couched, none of that is there. Now, if you go through the agreement, what you will see is that those key provisions, the one on de-escalation, the one on the setting up of the commission, the joint commission, these all have their own reporting mechanisms that will be triggered if a breach of that particular clause occurs. So this is why last evening when I read that statement, I was deeply concerned about paragraph 9. And this is something that's worrying for me. The second to last line of the chapeau, or the introductory paragraphs, the very first one, refers to the territory in dispute. Now, fine. That is the introductory paragraph. I was not happy with the use of territory in dispute. But it goes on to say that the parties hereby agree, and they listed out a number of paragraphs that set out the essence of the agreement. And paragraph 9 has a very troubling form of words. It speaks to the territory in dispute. One, as far as Guyanese are concerned, there's no territory in dispute. There's a controversy. And we have gone at length locally to explain why it is a controversy and not a dispute. We've gone at length to point out that the 1899 award was full, perfect, and final.
Correct.
Therefore, as far as we are concerned, there is no dispute. Essequibo belongs to Guyana. And this was the stated position of Venezuela for over 6 decades.
A long time.
So, yes, absolutely. And in fact, we recall that when the border was being drawn, Venezuela said that they would not countenance the slightest of deviations. And then they ratified the borders as they currently stand in their constitution. Mm-hmm. So for us to acquiesce to the Essequibo being described as a territory in dispute is unacceptable.
Correct.
It is unacceptable. No. What is even more troubling for me, Sherrod, is that paragraph 9 goes on, and you may have the agreement in front of you. I am on the move, so I don't have the verbiage in front of me. But if I recall correctly, it says that they will be meeting in Brazil in 3 months, and to discuss or earlier or at an agreed time, if I recall, to discuss any matter with an implication for the territory in dispute, including receiving the report of the Joint Commission. Now, what is that? How could we, in our sane minds, agree to such verbiage being included in a agreement as important as this one? What is a matter that has implications for the territory in dispute, now that you have conceded that it is a territory in dispute, by allowing that verbiage to be included in there? And I made the point in a post that I made on Facebook. So if we want to grant a license next week, what prevents Maduro from standing up to say, oh, but this has implications to this territory in dispute?
Correct.
And therefore calling us to speak on this matter, thereby effectively achieving what he and we know he intended to achieve, which is to have Guyana have to consult on the development of the Essequibo. Sherrod, words matter. And if you look at paragraph 9, in the context of the entire agreement, it is irrelevant. If the intention of the paragraph was to say that we will meet in 3 months' time in Brazil, within 3 months, then say that. But this any other matter with implications for the disputed territory is going to haunt us. It is going to haunt us.
Yep. And Manza, it's not only you feel this way, because we're reflecting on a column, an opinion piece, I think, out of Demwara Waves, and GHK Lal says that, let me make sure that I get it right. GHK Lal says that as much as this causes me pain, I have to say it. Nicolas Maduro out-hustled Irfan Ali. He speaks to Maduro as a hustler. He said Maduro out-hustled Irfan Ali. And I would dare say out-propagandized Irfan Ali as well. Over the last few days or the last few weeks, a man's out-hustled. I think that's part of what these concessions.
Yes, there is no doubt. There is no doubt that is exactly what has happened. And look, the constitution of your team, not taking away anything from the folks that were there yesterday, but the team needed to have a certain level of skill within it. When crafting these international arrangements, words are important. You needed to have drafts, people from, I don't know if they were there and behind the scenes, but it was not immediately apparent that there was anybody there with any significant experience in drafting international agreements, etc. Or else this error would not have been made. Both countries would not have been undertaking to not engage in military aggression. What capacity do we have to engage in military aggression against Venezuela? Truthfully speaking. So Maduro went there and he got what he wanted, because you know what will happen? He will proceed right ahead with all of his local plans, etc., and we will be left hamstrung by a half-baked agreement. By a half-baked agreement, it is better to walk away from the table and come back to the table than to leave the table with something that is so half-baked and could prove to be so disadvantageous to us in certain circumstances. So I am deeply disappointed.
That is a challenge I think a lot of folks have. Could Maduro, with the ICJ's decision behind us, and we know what we know now, could Maduro live up to anything, that they decided there in Argyle, any agreement, any arrangement, right? And which takes us to the other part of what we want to discuss this morning. Here is the St. Vincent Times. The St. Vincent Times telling us that, while this meeting is happening, there's a new capital being declared from somewhere in the Essequibo by Maduro. That is, and this is frightening. And not only is a new capital being declared, that the Maduro government, knowing how much they love propaganda, they're saying that they've already been issuing ID cards to over 400 Guyanese in that region. While the ink hasn't dried yet on the Argyle Declaration, this is happening. So could Maduro live up to any of this, or he has to keep playing to the gallery there in Caracas?
Sharon, all politics is local, is it not?
Correct.
And so he will do whatever he will have to do to retain the advantage locally. He has an elections to win. And whilst the declaration was happening, they were budgeting for the new Guyana Essequibo state. And so the problem that you have from the outset is that Maduro's bad behavior is being rewarded.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He is a bully. He is a bully, and he has not been made to demonstrate any good faith. Any good faith. Mm-hmm. My own personal view, as you may be aware, mm-hmm. is that there would have had to have been, even before I agreed to sit down with Maduro, some demonstration of good faith on his behalf. You cannot have maps of my country, my Essequibo, included in your country, and then you're coming to tell me that we're going to talk. You would have had to have withdrawn those maps.
As a matter of fact, Shadow Foreign Affairs Minister, it was pointed out yesterday that on the aircraft that Maduro came on, there was the map incorporated.
I was going to say that. When Maduro touched down with an aircraft that has Essequibo is ours, a Venezuelan aircraft, and is marked Essequibo is ours. At that point, if I were Ali, I would have said there are no talks.
And also, let me add, GK has pointed out, also makes the observation, I have to check this back myself, also make the observation that there was members of Maduro's team, including Maduro, wearing an undershirt yesterday that had the map. That's what he said.
Well, look, we apparently had the battle of the apparel yesterday, because we see the photos of the wristband being flashed,
diplomacy,
and those things. in the grand scheme of things, are very irritating.
Yeah.
Because
Could you trust
there's
Maduro? I
so
think that is
much
the
more.
question coming out of Argyle. Should Guyanese trust? Could you trust a character, a hustler like Maduro?
You can't. You can't. We didn't need Argyle to tell us that we couldn't. The man is doing his political maneuverings. Look, he has appointed a general as a governor for the state, a military general, not even a civilian.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And there has been no requirement for Maduro to de-escalate or demonstrate any good faith by walking back on some of these very atrocious acts that he has undertaken domestically. There has been no requirement.
I'm sorry for the Affairs Minister. Isn't that part of the feeling here? Isn't that part of the feeling here at CARICOM that instead of holding his feet to the fire for going against the decision of the ICJ, they reward him with a high-level meeting and Ralph chummy as ever? Big smiles like, welcome home, brother.
Right. And so this smells of appeasement. And if the world wars were anything for us to go by, we understand the dangers of appeasement. So I, Sherrod, concerned. I'm deeply concerned. I believe that we could have come away from the table with a far better declaration. We have a loud language in there that puts us at a distinct disadvantage, and I am concerned about it. And so the government will have to answer in the National Assembly as to why it would agree to such a declaration in such a form.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Before we let you go, in this morning's editorial in Starbuck News, building off of this article that we just quoted, that we saw in the St. Vincent Times, this article in which it's telling us that, look what's happening right in your backyard, capital being set up, homes are going to be built, and all of that. Starbuck News, in its editorial this morning, talks about an area in the Cuyuni, Mango Landing, in which it says for neither natives, indigenous folks who live there, or Venezuelan or other Guyanese, there are no real demarcation of boundaries, because historically they get their supplies, they get their food. It's cheaper to get it from Venezuela than it is to come by river to the capital and get food. There are no real demarcations. And Starbuck News is pointing out that that's one of the challenges that we have, where communities can be so easily settled because they are cut off with communication from Georgetown, from Central, from HQ, that it's easy for the Venezuelans, if they want to take advantage. And the point here is more than moving beyond lip service. The government has to make a deliberate effort to stamp its authority and to help, basically, the folks in these areas, because if inflation is high, period, in this country, in these areas that go further out from the capital, things are astronomically expensive, 2-3 times what they cost in the city. So that's the other aspect of this, this whole arrangement here, that you don't have to have, the term is being used there, force, this use of force. You don't need force to invade a country where the borders are as porous as ours are, and you don't have a very strong migrant policy. That's the other challenge. Shout out for the Affairs Minister.
And they're absolutely spot on their observations, Sharon. Look, we have in the National Assembly been saying for the longest while that whilst we are focused on the border and the defense of the country, and correctly so, enough attention attention is not being paid to the internal security situation. It is entirely possible for a country's national security to be undermined from within. And so, when I pointed out in Parliament at the last sitting that Finland, for example, closed its border with Russia because it had concerns that Russia was deliberately fueling a soft invasion into of its country, and they closed the borders. So what we are saying here is not speculation or out of the realm of possibility or even probability. It is happening. It is happening. And so the government has to do much, much more than it is currently doing to address this issue of our internal security and the fact that it could be undermined from within. We have to revise and have a firm migration policy. We have to have a proper immigration policy. There is much work to be done for this country. And so the PPP, because it is in government and has the resources, and it likes to remind us on occasion, ever so often, need to get down to the business of governing this country.
Yeah. Correct. And before I let you go, there is this other narrative, as we were talking about all politics is local, this other narrative by Mr. Maduro. Because while these talks were happening yesterday, and it goes to this whole trust issue, can you trust this hustler from Caracas? Here is what the presidential palace in Caracas was posting on X, formerly Twitter, yesterday during the course of this meeting. Venezuela and Guyana, it said, expressed their willingness to continue with dialogue to resolve the controversy in relation to the Essequibo territory. That's what it said. But now, in hindsight, some of this even seems in consonant with the declaration based on what you have articulated, Shadow Foreign Affairs Minister, this whole issue about the disputed territory. And clearly they have agreed to more dialogue.
Well, the title of the agreement is that the Argyle Declaration on dialogue, etc. So,
and peace.
Look, the reality is that neighbors will talk. What they talk about is a different issue. And the examples the world over have shown us that if there's an opportunity for dialogue to de-escalate the situation, it should be taken. However, within that context, Sherrod, a state has to have the ability and the nimbleness to come out of any engagement securing some advantages. And it is not immediately apparent to me the advantages that we have secured in this whole arrangement. We are happy, like I said, for the pledge of no use of force. I don't believe that applied to us since we have not in any way, shape, or form used force. But outside of what would be expected of countries within the normal international legal order, I don't see what Guyana has come away from this with. Maduro, on the other hand, has managed to secure an agreement that is so lax that it allows him room to do all kinds of spin.
Yeah. That's where we are, unfortunately. And if we were to end where we started the discussion with that other opinion piece from GHK Lal, he says maybe yesterday bought us a little space from the tension, a little respite from the building tension, but at what cost? And that's what you're articulating here. At what cost? There is so much latitude here.
At what cost? At what cost? At what cost? Sharon, I'll say before I go, because we have the final rights for the remaining fallen soldiers
correct.
today. And so we're making our way over to the Promenade Gardens soon. Um, but I will say this, that now more than ever, we have to get our best and brightest around one table, our most experienced around the table. And we have to put aside petty politics and craft a proper way forward for this nation. You look at the entourage that Maduro showed up there with yesterday. It conveys a particular message. And, I truly believe that we in Guyana have the ability and the wisdom and the experience to navigate this crisis successfully. The truth is that expertise, etc., is not resident solely within the PPPC. And so there has to be a deepening of reaching across the aisle, because as we are often reminded, all are involved and all will be consumed.
Yeah. Thank you so much for dropping by. Shadow Minister of Foreign Affairs International Corporation, Manzo Walton is here, the Right Honorable Member of Parliament.
Thank you for having me, Sharon.
All right, folks, there it is. Thank you so much. Member of Parliament. There it is. Lots happening, folks. Lots and lots happening. Let's bring you up to speed with some of the other things that we're following this morning before we let you guys go. There's a lot. It's plenty, it's enough. All right. We got a little space to breathe, perhaps. We got to watch to see what Caracas does now. And if we head to Brazil earlier, when are we going to head to Brazil earlier? Yeah. A lot to contend with. And as the man just said, today, fallen heroes Beaton, Shahood, Welcome, and Khan are going to be laid to rest today. This is the other side of what we're grappling with. They were on their way to our western borders to shore up our troops there, when, as you know, they met the horrific helicopter crash and lost their lives in the process. So they're going to be laid to rest. And we know Lieutenant Colonel Michael Charles, he was laid to rest quite recently. And today we have the others being laid to rest as well. And our thoughts and our prayers go out to these families. We have to get a very comprehensive investigation that gives us all the circumstances, how these men lost their lives, what went wrong on that fateful day. We got to get to the bottom of it. Linda McCalmont, Claudia Simon, Paula, however difficult the truth is, we got to get to it. We got to get to the bottom of it. If only for the closure for the families. We have to get to the bottom of it. Thoughts and prayers with them today. The GDF yesterday unveiled that they have erected a monument to honor these fallen soldiers. And rightfully so. They've erected a monument at Base Camp Ghana. Folks, you're in the area, stop by and pay your respects. If you're in that area there, Camp Ghana, Thomas Lands, stop by and pay your respects, as I will. That's some of what's happening, folks. Patterson, Member of Parliament David Patterson, is taking the authorities to court. Remember when they detained him, I think it was in October, from leaving Guyana, making his way to Washington, D.C. for that seminal conference that was held there on discrimination, among other things. Well, court proceedings are on the way, folks. Said he was accidentally blacklisted by police for believing, if you believe that. Accidentally blacklisted rather. So we're watching this. The litigation is on. The litigation, good folks, the litigation is on. That's one of the other things we're following, folks. And then there's 6.9. Chapter says you gotta study. You gotta study this thing good. We got the money. Oh, y'all think we got the money? all this waiving of a lot of fees and monies by GRA for ExxonMobil. We ain't got the money. You see all this big withdrawal from the NRF, the National Resource Fund, the Natural Resource Fund, rather. Big monies being withdrawn. Millions upon millions a year. We got money to public servants. We care about public servants, folks. We ain't got the money. That's what they say. We got timber, we got gold, bauxite, rum, obeah, you name it, we got it. But we don't have the money. One of the headlines today, it says that the government can only give, the PAP government can only give 6.5% increase due to a number of projects. Number of projects behind schedule. They don't have the money, folks. Yesterday's press conference out of the PPP, John Muir was articulating. He said, this thing, you got to study it. You can't just rush into it. You got to study it. You see? It's not as easy as it looks to raise salaries in this country.
Somehow there is this feeling. There's an obsession about percentages every year. You hear one person say 70%, another 15%, another 5%, 3%. But any salary increase that is not grounded in an analysis of your economy, the state of your finances, and doesn't take account of the future revenue stream will be conjecture, and it will not be sustainable. We've seen this happen in many countries in the past. And what do I mean by all of this? So first of all, the government has an obligation. We have 54,000 public servants earning $87 billion wages bill. 54,000. The public servants are very important to managing a country. They work with the administration of many of our programs in Guyana. We have ensured that working conditions have improved. We have ensured that salaries have increased for our public servants. In some categories now, at the lower level in the public service, people are leaving the private sector to come and work because we have a minimum wage now in the public service that is higher than in many private sector agencies. They're coming to work with the public service now. In the past, it wasn't so. Almost everybody is going the other way. In the upper categories, we still have people exodus from the private sector for some skill types, like maybe the engineers and for accountants, ACCA, etc. But at the lower end, we are very competitive with the private sector, public sector wages. Now, but when you run a country, you have to take care of your public servants. They're your people who help you to administer the country. But you have a duty to all the people of the country too, who are not public servants, who work, who contribute to national wealth, who pay taxes. They also have to benefit from the treasury. And how do you get them to benefit? So you have to think about that too. You can't get them to benefit by paying higher wages because they're not working with you. So you also have to make sure that they, in a way, they pay less taxes.
Yeah, fluff and bluff, folks, fluff and bluff. Wrong and wrong, like a Ferris wheel, like a big wheel. Wrong and wrong. You see, those are the folks that got the benefit is the 1% of the 1%. The friends, family, favorites, and flatterers. 1% of the 1%. There you set. See, all that to say, take the 6.5 and be contented and stay in your place. 54,000 public servants, stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. What we got to do is loose Jack Dio and his ministers with public servant salaries. Then you can see a different argument. Let them have to live on a public servant salary month to month. We'd have a different debate in this country. Mind you, these are the same folks who had a hue and cry trying to tear this country apart. When ministers got a 50% raise, and actually I agreed with that. But they disagreed vehemently, came into office, didn't roll it back, and still benefiting from the percentages increase. Still benefiting. Isn't that the apex? Huh? The epitome of hypocrisy? Isn't it? Isn't it? A pig you and cry. Oh, 50%. Oh, this. Oh, that. The next. Then they come in. They have an opportunity to roll it back. But in true hypocritical, hypocritical PPP style, the status quo remains. And not only that, they've given themselves those increases too, along with other public servants. So one is, for instance, 6.5% of the minimum wage, whatever it is, $70,000, whatever it is different from a minister who gets $3 million, for instance. 6.5 of a million and 6.5 of 70,000 is two different 6.5. That's the hypocrisy of the PPP. That is the hypocrisy of the incumbent administration. That's the reality of it. Look, some of the other issues we're following this morning, folks. Pirates, quote unquote, Leon Sami, Ganesh Nadu, Ramesh Singh, Ramchan Lachman, and Stephen Leacock have all been sentenced to death for murdering a fisherman a couple of years ago. Gruesome fashion. We are cruel as a people. Cruel. I think it was Justice Sandal Kisoon who gave them the death penalty. And the rest of your life now to think about your actions. And then, folks, the informal economy, the informal economy under this current regime, Kanu finds ganja during operation at Better Hope. A lot of it, it's cane, wains, and other cash crops and so on. People going into different things. Crop rotation. Crop rotation, folks. Police made a find of ganja, marijuana at Better Hope, folks. And then, rightfully so, this other story here. Burbis Manglu is caught arrested after threatening to kill his children mother. I rather the mother of his children. But in true Guyanese fashion, the cheering mother, that's what we said. The cheering mother. You don't take these threats lightly at all, as we want to do. Do not take them lightly at all. See, don't threaten in this country where we have this steady diet of violence against women and girls, rightfully so. And then the Ministry of Labor, finally, says it has launched an investigation into this Massachusetts workplace fatality. We told you of this young man who was working on the truck that collapsed, pinning him. He was rushed to hospital where he succumbed to his injuries. We got to get this thing right. We got to get this thing right. Health and safety. Workplace, health and safety. We got to get it right. We just got to get it right. Some of the issues we're following this morning, good folks, and some of the things we wanted to update you on as we start the day. Let's see where Crackers goes from here. As G.H.K. Lal says in that opinion piece, we may have bought ourselves some reprieve, some respite from the tension that was mounting and building, like when he bus ups us. But is it gone, folks? Is it gone? And at what cost? At what cost? We will continue to see where this leads, folks, and make sure we have all of the voices and opinions that matters. That's going to do it for us at this end this morning. Beryl Crawford. Beatrice, where are you this morning? I feel like seeing you this morning, Beatrice. Lois Levan, good to see you here with us. Annette Cummins. Rockland, good to have Rockland on the live. Joining us on Twitter. Thanks for coming through from the Twitter end. Rockland, great to have you with us. And all the other folks who are joining us this morning from Facebook, from YouTube, from LinkedIn as well, and from Twitter, of course. Thanks for joining us. Henry Rodney, we see you there. We see you there. And Candy Linderjeet, good to have each and every one of you on the live. Marilyn Lorma, we see you there as well. Folks, we value your time here. We value your comments as well. Good to see all of you. Great to have all of you here. Good to have you folks with us. That's going to do it for us on this. And folks, before you go, we got hundreds of you watching this broadcast. Share the broadcast so that others can get valid, credible information as well, good folks. And remember to partner with us so that we can continue to do more. This is how we go from day to day, week to week, month to month, and now year to year. Over 1,065 days we've been out here bringing you folks valid and credible information. And here's how you can help us. Here is how we can help us. The strength we have is in the numbers that we have. And if each of you give $5, yes, I'm not saying that has to be the limit. And if each of you give $5, we can pay all our bills like a breeze when the month comes. Like a breeze when the month comes. We're available via Cash App and Zelle and PayPal, MG, MoneyGram, and Western Union as well, good folks. And we have a secure link we can send you if you want to contribute via debit or credit cards. Hit us up, folks, on 627-6963 if you need any guidance. 627-6963. And those of you heading into the city of Georgetown this morning to conduct your business and you need a good documentation service, you need a good justice of the peace, a good commission of oaths to affidavits, we want to recommend the Alistair Collins firm. Folks, smash that emoji button for us. Drive us up in the algorithm. Talk to Facebook for us. Let them know something's happening here. They'll push this program into other news feeds. If you just smash that emoji button for us. Share the live as well, good folks. And when you come off, you head into the city, check out the Alistair Collins Forum. 649-6410, 649-6410, 685-6448, 685-6448. For all your documentation needs, folks, they're at the Carlion Mall in Georgetown, on Lamaha Street between Camp and Waterloo, they're closer to Waterloo. Good to have all of you folks on the live this morning. Henry Rodney, as we said, Joylyn Cook, Michelle and Jeremy. Good to have you, Edward, Candy Linderjeet, Gloria Plot. Good to see you there, Gloria Plot. Good to have all of you on the live this morning. Give us a share before you go. Smash that emoji button. That's going to do it for us. This end. Stay vigilant, folks. Stay vigilant. That's the time. Stay safe.